Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on Between the Covers. My name is Bradley Shaw, and tonight I'm talking to dietitian Deanna Mak and her book, Nourishing Change. Good evening, Deanna. Deanna, how are you?
Sorry. Good evening. Good, thank you.
Yes, please tell us, everybody watching, what they're going to expect out of this wonderful book you've created, Nourishing Change.
Yeah, so Nourishing Change is a book that I've very much enjoyed writing and preparing, and it's essentially a nutrition-guided recipe book targeting people 50 years and over to help them continue thriving and maintain their health for years to come.
Wow, and that's interesting. So why did you pick the particular age bracket of, as you say, the 50s? What have you found in your own experience and research? Because you're a qualified dietitian, you're a qualified nutritionist, isn't it? So you know that that's this correct. Element of time, yeah. So why the 50s was important, do you think?
Yeah, so I have worked quite closely with this segment of the population through my work as a clinical dietitian and also aged care that work with the older market, 70 plus generally. However, the 50 plus age group, I found over the years there really weren't many resources out there targeting and supporting this age group
with their
nutritional needs unless they were ill and already in hospital. So I really wanted to prepare something that was an enjoyable read and something that would help bring nutrition to life for this age group while they're still healthy and active, so that they can maintain that healthy, active lifestyle in their ongoing.
Yeah, and it's good too. The way you've put the book together, it's not a fad style. Like it's not I think at that age bracket, I don't think they'd probably respond to that style anyway. I think you've created a book that's intelligent enough for them to understand the foods they know and how they can use them better in other recipes, on newer recipes perhaps, because I remember my 50s, and you have that generation where you've got the steak and chips or the steak and veggies when you were growing up 30, 40 years ago was, generally the two green veg, and that's about it. You didn't really sort of evolve much into elaborate recipes and lots of vegetables. But today is the norm. So did it take long for you to research the recipes as well? Because I guess architecturally, not being a chef, as opposed to knowing food groups, did it take you long to put the foods together to get the flavouring and the tastings?
Yeah, certainly I did dedicate a solid amount of time to, having a really good think about what people would enjoy. And fortunately, I'm a foodie at heart, and I've always enjoyed cooking. I was often in the kitchen baking, and fortunately, I had the mother that introduced me to it quite young. And so, cooking, as much as being a dietitian, is something that I have enjoyed. And so, I think it was quite a natural progression as I developed the recipes while using the nutrition science underlying it as a foundation for those recipes.
Good, well done. And was it I guess hard to, well, even more so importantly, not hard, but I think, have you found that the 50s, this bracket, if they are in those dietary changes at this age, is it still able to help in that older age, again, the 70s, the 80s? Does it really have an impact to start, even though it's slightly later in life, to start changing diets and to change routines? Do you find it's had an impact, that it's actually made differences?
Yeah, absolutely. So the second chapter of the book I've called The Power of Nutrition, because it is exactly that. And increasingly there's more and more evidence and science to support the impacts that nutrition can have for all age groups. In particular for this middle age bracket, there's solid evidence that maintaining nutrition to support health can help maintain and even potentially delay some of the health complications that can occur later on in life.
Well done, yeah. And your mum helped a lot too. Your mum's in that cycle of age, and she was probably a bit of a guinea pig to help you understand and construct a lot more personable approach to this bracket of aging and such, which is great. So that's just for the readers to know that beautiful woman featured in the book is Deanna's mum. So also the writing of the book itself. Had you ever, I guess, taken the enterprise on of constructing a book in this form, or was there a lot of research, not what the content is, but was there a lot of research in the crafting and the design of this book for you, like learning to do a book?
Yeah, so it was certainly the first book that I've
it's a big
and quite a mammoth project. Have enjoyed writing nutrition related communications previously, several blogs and nutrition articles, but to undertake a big book, but it was quite a big challenge. And so it was certainly a learning, thinking about the bigger picture and how different elements of the book would all come together, as opposed to doing an isolated 500-word blog.
Yeah, and then also how it's going to be received by a reader, and make it entertaining or make it interesting enough without being, I guess, preachy or forcing stuff on people. Like, it has to be read into a way that's received. And I think you've done that so beautifully, by the way you've created the construct, the layout, the colouring, the imagery, and the recipes. I think the recipes are very well thought out too, which is, again, a lot of your research you can see. So credibility and kudos to you for it. So had this always been something you wanted to do when you were younger, like nutrition and dieting and stuff? And
yeah, certainly I'd always been interested in health and fitness, as well as I mentioned, the baking and the cooking. So it was kind of a natural marriage, if you like, the food element, which are essentially the tools that a dietitian uses, along with that science element. So they, it's quite for me, came together quite naturally. In terms of writing a book, it wasn't something I'd ever considered until I became a dietitian, and I saw that gap in the market, and somewhat out of frustration, because
they weren't getting the help.
No, there are so many, different diets out there, lots of nutritional advice targeting younger age groups, but not so much this 50-plus age group. And the same goes for different products out there as well. It's
so confusing, I'll be honest. I mean, you just see so many things now. You go, oh my God, there's just, they tell you this, tell you that. This is soy's good, soy's not. This is good, that's not. You're like, what's happening? I think you've broken a mythology. You've broken a lot of it down and just sort of isolated it and said, look, these are the fundamentals and this is how it can work and the best way to use them. And I like that about the book. I like that. I think you've done a really good job. And I mean, from that point of view, like understanding the research of not only writing how to write a book and using your expertise, but how long did it take you to, I guess, create, set out, put together, what was your full journey? Like, this obviously didn't happen overnight.
No, it certainly didn't happen overnight. And it probably would have been a good 6 months after having the initial idea to write a book that I actually started putting pen to paper. I actually took a bit of I call it a career break, even though I certainly was still very busy working on the book. But it was probably the best thing I could do for the success of the book, was to take time away from my day job, and every day I could wake up and throw myself into this book. So in its entirety, I had about 9 months full-time dedicated to writing this book, and that involved, I suppose, the background research. I wanted to make sure that my thinking was still consistent with the most up-to-date and robust evidence, as well as then crafting and translating all that science into something that was consumer friendly, as as developing the recipes and styling them up as well.
Did you get to talk to a lot of colleagues or inputs? Did you get a lot of research done, sort of cross-referencing to your resources as well? Like, did you find a lot of good help there in your network or community?
Yes, from early on, when I started, I suppose, putting the ideas together for the book, I put a few surveys out there to friends and family who were in this age bracket to get their thoughts on what kind of things they would find useful in a book, what their main nutrition and health concerns were as well. So that those inputs helped, very much craft what was going to, be within the book. I also wanted to, again, make sure that this was a really robust piece of information. as well as being enjoyable. So I had the content peer reviewed by Associate Professor Karen Walton from the University of Wollongong as well.
Good. Yeah, no, she used it a good endorsement. No, that's really good. Well done. So tell me, there's over 100 recipes in the book.
That's right. Yes.
Did you cook all of them? Did you make all of them and try them and eat them?
Yes, I also that took me a few months, and it was.
I was going to say that's a good diet.
Yes. There was certainly plenty of leftovers, and I was able to share it with family and friends. And
I was going to say, I'm like a bit of variety. Here you go. It's like 100 recipes. Wow. So that's good.
So those days I would be up, 6, 7 a.m. and I would do a shop in the morning, then come back, spend the rest of the day in the kitchen, well into the evening. That's
fantastic. Yeah, and that's discipline to the cause as well. Like, you obviously visualize the benefit of having those recipes in the book. You weren't just going to write a book about nutrition and then not have, I guess, substantial quality to reinforce to recommend that nutrition they have. So well done that you actually physically tested them all. So given that you had a lot of knowledge and a lot of resources and a lot of help with this book, what were the challenges for you in writing this book that you found as you started?
I think one of the biggest challenges, really the book is a huge amount of information that I gathered, I suppose, throughout my career and experiences. And so the biggest challenge was getting all that information and compiling it into something that was succinct. As I say, I very much wanted to base it on the latest scientific evidence and research. So making sure that was translated into a consumer-friendly and approachable book was also something I dedicated a lot of time to as well.
And did you have readers that helped feedback that as you created it as well? Or was it more you created, then just put it out and then got feedback? Or how did you evolve that, the way it was written?
Yeah, so along the way, I certainly would share snippets along the way to make sure it read well and most importantly, it was understandable as well, as the final product being edited.
Well done. Yeah, no, it's a great job, and the photography as well, and the presentation of the book. So how did you find the arc of publishing? Like, I mean, it was one thing writing a book, but setting yourself up, because you put this book out originally by your own means, and that's a big challenge on itself. You're learning a whole new industry, really, effectively. You are an independent business person, you own your own business, but there's a different format in a book market and a strategy to a reader. How did you find that evolution from getting the book into a book and then its publication and promotion for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly been, I think, much of why this project has been so satisfying is what I've learned in the process.
Yeah.
It's been something completely new and different to my regular, work as a dietitian. So certainly when I initially wrote the book myself, that was certainly learning the process that involved, and then the publishing and considering the marketing and promotion, again, something that is quite far removed from my day-to-day job.
That's right.
But that it really required me to put all my trust into the publisher and trust the process and lean on the experts.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. In response to that, we're doing that with you. We're leaning on your expertise, and that's what's great. You've created a product and a book that's going to help a lot of people, and I think give a lot of people an understanding of something that there is a slight ignorance about. As I said, the generation that we're in their 50s, it's a different. We accept things, and we just have lived and grown. And I think new education is something that our age bracket can be a little bit slow to take up. But I think the way you've put it together, the way you've presented it, and the way you've been real about it, I think is awesome. So from that in mind, what do you really want to see happen for the book, for readers, for people to come out from gaining from that book? What will be important for you to have as a feedback from that?
Yeah, look, I think primarily I want to make sure that this is helpful to people, and it's a resource that people can, find approachable, trust the information, and enjoy bringing all of those tips within the book to life in the kitchen and, through enjoyment of their meals as well.
Well, there's certainly fun recipes. Oh, gosh, well, plenty of hours of cooking, that's for sure, let alone reading. That's awesome. So what's next for you, Deanna? What are you going to do for us? Are you going to more books to come? Is that a plan, or is it just now, just sort of sit back?
Yeah, look, I've been asked that question, by several people. I think for now, this book is what I'll put the energy into in promoting it and spreading the word so that it can help, as many people as possible. I think is my key priority. And, next time throughout my career, if I get another spark of inspiration, there certainly could be another book. But for now, this is what I'll put my energy into.
Well done. No, it's a great book. And we're looking forward to promoting it and getting it out there. It's out for everybody watching. It's out in September. Coming out to all bookstores and online wherever you buy your books. We do encourage you to go to your local bookstores, though. We really want to help the small businesses in your local areas to keep their businesses going. So if you can, buy it through a bookstore. But otherwise, you can get it anywhere books are sold online. So Deanna Mak, Nourishing Change is a wonderful book. So Deanna, in wrapping up, when you were writing and you were evolving as an author as much as a talented nutritionist, what did you notice was a quirk or a little habit you were creating yourself as a writer? A lot of people write to certain music, write to certain places, or they sit in certain chairs. Did you find anything that sort of kept coming up where you're going, wow, I really write well when I'm doing this in particular?
Look, I was quite random in the way I
random
wrote the book. I don't think I had a specific quirk, but I definitely found that change in my location would help sort of refresh and reset. So I would write anywhere from at home to sometimes I would take myself to the local library just for that sense of quiet. I even, not so much the actual writing, but more the research and brainstorming, I actually would go and sit on the beach because it was over for a period and just out in nature. So that probably is the only quirk I can think about. So
variety was your quirk.
Yes.
Keeping it interesting. I like it. So did you also talk to many chefs through this process? Like, did you see recipes and start to wonder about, to taste them and develop, I guess you'd have to have such a involved process of food evaluation, like looking at it as food, as meals in your recipes. Did you talk to chefs, or did you find going out for meals was more interesting as well for you?
I think I've always been a foodie at heart, and so I've always been someone that's keen to try new recipes, new ingredients, and so the recipes kind of almost flowed naturally, I think, from that love of food.
So we're going to be spinning off to a cooking show. Do you think we could do a 50-something show and then have you doing the recipes and showing people how it all works? Do you think that'd be exciting and something to evolve?
Look, potentially.
I could see that going.
No, you never know. I mean, actually, as part of my degree as a dietitian, we did I believe it was the first 12 weeks equivalent to a chef's apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, food is the tool, of our trade.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was really valuable, and so I suppose I picked up some valuable skills from.
Yeah, I like it. That's a great title. Deanna Mak, author, dietitian, celebrity cook. So next, you never know. The pinnacles of life can happen in different ways. You didn't think you'd write a book, as you say earlier. So, I mean, sometimes, you never know. But Deanna, it has been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Everybody watching, please do grab a copy of this wonderful book. And stay healthy. That's the best thing you could really try to do. Thank you, Deanna, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Now.